This is my daughter's 2015 Mazda CX-5 that she recently purchased. It's in pretty good shape. This paint doesn't have any kind of protection on it. The water doesn't beat up at all. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna wash it with soap and water, and we're gonna use a clay bar to try to kind of purify the surface so that the ceramic coating has something to attach to. So we're gonna use regular soap and water, car wash soap and water. Then we're gonna come back with a clay bar, and then when we get that dry, we're planning to do 2 coats of this Griot's Garage Ceramic 3-in-1 wax. And so we're gonna do that. I don't know how well it'll pick up on video, but just to show you where we're starting with, there's just 0 water beating properties right now on this paint. All right, so we're gonna wash the car before we do our ceramic coat. And so we've got a bucket of car wash soap, a water with this Meguiar's Ultimate Wash and Wax. That's just what I use. You can use any car wash soap. Okay, so normally at this point in a wash, you would maybe dry it with a towel or some sort of chamois absorber or something. But because we have to use a clay bar, that's a wet process. So you don't need to waste your time drying the car. It's just going to get wet again. So we will wait and dry the car later on. Okay, so we have washed and rinsed our vehicle. Now we are ready to use a clay bar. This is a synthetic clay bar. It's a Mother's Speed Clay 2.0. This is one that's open right here that I'm going to use. These last a long time. You can use real clay bar if you would like. I used to use a real clay bar, and then what would happen is you'd have to throw away what you used a lot of times, or if you dropped it, you had to throw it away. This synthetic clay bar works great. I've been using it for years. And if you drop it, you just wash it off with water, just rinse it off. And so it can be used a lot. So this is a new one I have, just in case the one I have ever goes bad, but it doesn't seem to really wear out. I'm sure it will one day. So the key to clay barring, we're gonna do the whole car, and I'm gonna start, I usually do top down, so I usually start with the roof. But just for video purposes, I'm going to show you a small section of the hood here. So the key to the clay bar is this is very like rubbery and sticky. So if I just walk up to the car and try to do it, it's not going to work. Okay, so you need a lubrication, and water is fine to use. To use water as a lubrication. All right, so I'm recording this later after the video, but putting it at the beginning of this video. Just wanted to say that in the video I'll go over 3 ways of doing the clay bar: using hose water, using a spray bottle water, and using a Mother's Instant Detailer. After doing several cars with the clay bar, I just want to say that from now on I'll be using the Instant Detailer as a lubricant. 1 bottle will last several clay bars. That really last a long time, and it's inexpensive. And so the Instant Detailer really does provide a true lubricant for the clay bar whereas the water isn't a great lubricant. So it did work on this car. I did use water. It did work out. But I've just, after doing several cars, the instant detailer does work the best, and that's what I would recommend, where you just spray it, right? Have the detailer in one hand and your clay bar in the other, and you're just spraying as you go with the clay bar. So just wanted to add that to this video. So you can just kind of wet it, the surface that you're going to work in, just keep it wet. Can't really use too much water. So as long as you can feel it, and so when you feel your paint, you ought to do this before you start. Just go ahead and actually run your fingers down the paint that has not been clay barred, and you can feel so much stuff. And then you come over to an area that you clay bar, and you run your fingers on that area, and it's all smooth. And what that does is, some people might say, well, who cares what it feels like? I just want it to work and I want it to look good. By getting rid of contaminants off of your clear coat that sits on top of your paint, you're giving the ceramic coat something to adhere to. So it really makes a difference in how well the ceramic coat adheres and how long it lasts. So I would definitely suggest that you don't skip that job. So it's really not difficult. It takes a little while, but it's not like you're dealing with the old kind of paste and different things like that. This really does work pretty well, and you can really go more usually in straighter motions with a clay bar than circular. So I usually find that works pretty good, and sometimes I'll just spray the actual clay bar itself, just to keep it clean as well, for the contaminants that may want to stick to it. So just in this short period of time, see, now when it starts to, I can feel some resistance, I need more water. If I feel that I'm getting resistance. Okay, so we're almost halfway done with the hood. I don't want to bore you with a long demonstration, but we're going to do that to all the painted surfaces, and it also doesn't hurt to do it to your glass surfaces, the clay bar portion. Now, we will not be applying the ceramic spray to the glass, but you can clean your glass with this. It is helpful, but don't put that ceramic coat on your glass. All right, so we'll check back in with you in a little bit. I want to give you one alternative. You may not want to use a hose, or you may live in an apartment or something where you can go get your car washed at a car wash, but then you don't have access to a hose or something like that. So this is an alternative. Once your car's clean, this is a Mother's Instant Detailer, and so what you can do is substitute this for the water. So I have used this before for an entire vehicle. So you can just use this as your lubricant. You spray a little bit on there. This was totally dry. And then again, you'll know when you need more, because it'll become difficult to wipe. So this is an option if for whatever reason you don't want to use a hose. So I'll put links to everything in the description, all the products that you would need to do this. The clay bar, the instant detailer, the ceramic coat, you'll find all that links in the video description. Okay, so at this point we've washed and rinsed it, and then we used the clay bar, and then we gave it a good rinse after the clay bar. So now we're gonna take our time to dry it real good with a towel so we don't have spots on the paint. So that's what we're gonna do right now. I'm gonna put links to all the products in the description. These towels are great. I'll show you how big they are. One of them could probably do a car. I like to have two of them per car, just to make sure I'm working with a good dry towel. But you can tell how big they are. So like on a roof, instead of using the ladder, these are big enough to just throw them over the top and then drag them. So they really do a great job. So I'll put links to all this in the video description. Alright, we've shown you two ways you could do the clay bar. You can use a hose like I did, or you could use that instant detailer spray bottle, or you can just use water in a spray bottle. So as long as you have the surface lubricated, it's going to work. So if you don't want water getting all over the place like it does with a hose, and you just want to use a spray bottle, you can do that. Alright, so this is my daughter's 2015 Mazda CX-5 that we just purchased used. The previous owner, it was one owner, had never been waxed, never had any kind of paint protection put on in the life of the vehicle. So what we're going to do, we've already washed it, we used a clay bar, and we dried it completely. So now we have it in the garage where it's going to sit for a while to keep it out of direct sunlight, because we're in the 90s here in South Louisiana. And so this ceramic spray really goes on easy. So we're gonna spray it on you can use any microfiber cloth. I have some microfiber applicator sponges that stick to this little Velcro thing. So I'm gonna use those. So I'm gonna spray it on here, wipe it on, or you can spray it directly on the paint, the bottle says, and then you can just wipe it on. And it's so simple. We're gonna wipe it on, and then we're gonna grab another microfiber. I'll put some links to all these products in the description. These are some rags that I like to use. So once you wipe it on a small area, then you grab a clean microfiber and wipe it off. It's that easy. And then what I'll do, once a whole area is done, I'll come back again with another really soft towel, just kind of buff it again, just to really get it shining. And so one application is good enough, but since this has ceramic coating, can do what's called stacking, where you can put one coat on, let it completely dry, and do it again, and it'll layer it. So I recommend that if it's never had it done before. So after the clay bar, we got it all pure, we're gonna do that once. We're gonna let it sit, the bottle says between 12 and 24 hours. And so we're gonna follow those instructions. We're gonna do it now. We're gonna let it sit in the garage overnight. I'll do it again in the morning, so it'll probably set 18 to 20 hours, something like that. I'll know it when I get to that point, but we'll follow those instructions, and then I'll just simply do the same thing again, and then I'll let that sit in the garage all day and all night again. Let that completely dry out of the elements for 12 to 24 hours. Then you're ready to go. And then to maintain that, what I would recommend is redoing one coat once a year. So every 12 months, just do one coat. So we're gonna get started. We're gonna show you, you don't need me to, so we're gonna do all the painted surfaces. So if it's painted your car's color, you want to ceramic coat it. It doesn't matter if it's metal or if it's plastic. Go ahead and do any painted surface. So just don't do it on glass. You can do it on plastic if you would like. So like this front bumper is plastic, we'll do it on there. But any of the painted surfaces. So we're gonna go ahead, the bottle does actually say to apply it directly to the surface. There's a couple different spray patterns on here. I like the one that makes it a little wider of a spray. I'm not gonna use that one that hit the ground. So we'll go ahead and kind of get this started. You don't need a lot, you can kind of experiment. So we're gonna kind of get that area right here. It just is so easy. And wax, wax used to get in all these crevices, and then you'd end up with these white marks, and you'd have to kind of try and dig it out for the crevices. You don't have any of that with ceramic. It goes on so easy like that. I can see, I don't know if you can pick it up on video, but I can see where I stopped. So you can tell it really doesn't take a lot. You don't want to put it on heavy. All you want to do is get a thin layer on everything. And now that we have done almost half the hood, my applicator pad is now, you know, getting saturated. So I'm gonna kind of come up here using my logo, my Mazda logo, to confirm that I'm halfway across. And I'm gonna pause and grab my microfiber towel, and I'm gonna start buffing that out. You don't wanna go too far before you do that. That's a pretty large area there that I did, partly just because the hood's so easy and quick to cover. But you may want to try smaller areas before you do anything. I wouldn't go any larger than what I just did. Probably should have went like half of that. And the reason I'm saying that is it's just a little easier to wipe off the less time that you've let it sit on the paint. So I like to, so I got half of that. I'm gonna go ahead and continue on with this other half. So it's always good to have some reference points and just kind of keep track of where you're at. So that's all I need for the rest of the hood there. And you don't need to press hard. So I'm using a little muscle, but just really to apply it. It's not like I'm trying to really power anything off of there. The vehicle's already clean. You're just really just wiping a layer on top of your clear coat. Okay, I'm gonna grab my microfiber again. You can kind of keep track of which side you used, and I would recommend having plenty of microfiber towels. And when you notice that it's not like a large area like this, I would just use a new section of the towel. I wouldn't wait till I noticed the towel was having difficulty absorbing the ceramic. But be generous with your microfiber towels. It doesn't take any time to wash them all at the end. And that's another thing about ceramic. You don't have to throw away your towels. You can just wash them and reuse them. Just don't use any fabric softener when you use car wash items. If you wash any towels or anything you use for detailing, you don't want fabric softener, because fabric softener kind of prevents them from being absorbent. So the hood, it's applied, and we follow their directions. Their directions just say to buff with a microfiber. So these two surfaces are dirty now. So I'm gonna fold it over this way. So now I have two more clean surfaces for my next two sections. And then I have the other side to use if I want. So now I'm gonna go to this. I love these towels. They are so soft. And it doesn't say you have to do this. I just find it to be so simple and satisfying because you really see like the shine come through when you kind of buff it a little bit. It's just like a mirror now. I don't know how well the video will pick it up. Sometimes the paint color has a lot to do with what the video will pick up and everything. But it looks great. And it's just amazing how a car can have nothing for 9 years and then you do this and it looks great. But that's because of how great clear coat is. Because that clear coat's sitting on top of your paint. So your paint's just fine because of the clear coat that's been on there. All right, so our hood is done. So we're gonna do that, like I said, to every painted surface. And so we won't video that, but we're gonna go ahead and do that, and we'll check back in with you later. All right, so we finished that first coat of ceramic. It's 1:22 in the afternoon, and I wished I'd have looked at the time when we started, but I would say that it took us less than 1 hour, easily less than 1 hour to do that. And so we're gonna let it sit all day and night, and it said 12 to 24 hours. So At 1:22 a.m. that would satisfy that, and I won't be out here then doing it, but any time in the morning will be much longer than that. So I'm guessing that it'll be 18 hours or so when we do the second coat. And so it went on real easy. My wife comments on how good this stuff smells. So it doesn't smell like a typical car care item that stinks or something. It's got a nice smell to it. But it really, you just wipe it on and wipe it off. So it's as easy as can be to apply. So I definitely encourage you to get some of that ceramic coating and give it a try. And we'll check back in with you tomorrow. All right, so this is the next morning. We've let the first layer of ceramic coat sit for 20 hours. So the bottle says you can apply future coats after 12 hours. It says wait, somewhere between 12 and 24 hours. Of course, you can always wait longer, that doesn't matter. But it is important to keep the car clean. So we left it inside a garage all night, so it hasn't been out in the elements, so it's perfectly clean. So now what we're doing is the same exact repeat of what we did yesterday. We're gonna spray small areas with the ceramic spray. We're gonna wipe it fairly quickly with a microfiber towel. Then we're gonna wipe it a second time. I would call it a buffing step with a really plush, edgeless microfiber towel. Really makes a difference what towels you use. So I'll put some links in the description. I buy nicer, more expensive microfiber for detail work like this than I would use for, say, cleaning a dashboard or something like that. So I'll put a link to some economy level microfibers that you can use just for any job, and I'll specify what those are. And then I'll put some nicer ones in there that would be worth investing in, because it really doesn't take very many. So just for example, on the whole job, I only use 2 of these applicator pads per coat. So I'll use a total of 4 of these on this job. I use 2 of these nice microfibers as my initial wipe on the whole job, and really only need 2 of these buffer towels for the whole job. So I'm gonna go ahead and put some links to those in the description. And on a job like this, you could even wash them after the first day. You have a whole day to wash and dry them. If you just had 2 of each, you could wash them and then use them, but it's always good to have a few. So we're gonna take time to put this second coat on, and then we're gonna let it sit all day again, and I'm gonna leave it in the garage all night. It just isn't worth rushing. So I'm gonna let this ceramic coat really set in there, and then it'll be ready to go. Really only need to do the 2 coats one time. After this, once a year, give it a good wash, a quick clay bar, and 1 coat of ceramic once a year, and that's all that this will need. So we'll check back in with you later. All right, so we are done now. We've applied our second coat. It took about 35 minutes. If I was doing it alone, probably would have taken me 50 minutes, but still less than an hour. So my wife not only helps with the videography, she does an excellent job, takes all the videos, but she helps me on stuff like this. So like if you really don't have an advantage of letting the ceramic sit for a while, like with the old waxes where you let them dry to a haze and all. You don't really need to let the ceramic sit on the surface too long before you wipe it off. So it can be helpful for one person to apply it and then have a second person come along with the first microfiber. And you'll notice that the application of the ceramic is much quicker than wiping it off. So what you probably try to do is, you get about a panel ahead on the applicator, the other person's coming behind you with the first microfiber, and then the person that does the ceramic can go back behind them with the second buffing microfiber to keep from getting too far ahead, because you don't want to let this sit on your paint too long before it gets that first wipe with the microfiber. Again, I would just say microfiber towels last, and it's easy to buy a few and throw them in the wash, so don't let them get too saturated before you would switch over to a dry side. So on a towel like this, we would fold it in half twice, and that gives you 8 surfaces. So you can wipe a surface, use that one, flip it over this way. Then when those 2 are done, you refold the whole thing. You got 4 more surfaces. So you got 8 work areas with this. You can do the same with the blue one, but I like with these blue ones, they're big and you're really buffing. So I like to just open them up and use both hands. And on these, I just kind of wipe with both hands like that, and it really buffs it out good. So anyway, this job really is done as far as the work goes. But now it needs to sit for 12 to 24 hours to let it fully cure before it should be driven or put out in the rain or something like that. So if you have a garage, you're better off just, you know, picking a weekend or a time where you could do without that car for a couple of days. Just let it sit, and at minimum let it sit 12 hours. So at minimum, if you couldn't leave your car, you could pick a time where you just washed it, did the clay bar and your ceramic coat all in the same evening, and then just let it sit overnight, and you could drive it the next morning. So that anyone could do that. You could do that without a garage. So, but if you have a garage, you can do without your car for a couple days. Letting it sit really helps a lot. So anyway, this job is done, but I assure you, once you do this, your water is gonna just roll off the vehicle, and you're going to have your paint protected, and it's going to be easier to clean and maintain. So thank you for watching. I hope that's been helpful. Check the video description for helpful links. So this is our other vehicle. This is a Honda Pilot that has, the last time this was ceramic coated was over a year ago. So we just washed it, rinsed it, left the water on it. We're getting ready to do another coat because we do it once a year. But look at how the water beads up after an entire year of coverage. So this stuff definitely works.